So just go grab your phone, or if you have a camera and you want to use it, grab your camera and just go someplace and get like 10 or 15 seconds of background, sort of what I like to call lifestyle footage, ambient footage. I'm literally just walking in my backyard right now, and I'm just gonna pan across the woods because there's a lot of woods back here, and it's a nice sort of neutral, uh, non-obtrusive background I can use for this video. And it looks like I'm out in the middle of the woods, but I'm really in my backyard. I'm gonna pan, and then you start to see houses. I don't want to see that, so I'm gonna pan back. Of course, I'm getting more footage than I need, and I'm talking over it because I'm not gonna use the audio. There's like a highway right back there, but you can't even see it. And sometimes homeless people like to put up tents back here. A bunch of bamboo, that's kind of cool. And that's all I really need, really. Barely a minute. Making a bunch of noise. First thing you want to do is take your video that you shot on your phone and probably just airdrop it to your Mac. You're gonna want to allow and allow for 10 minutes or something like that. Airdrop and handoff. Okay, so I've already got everyone. All right, so allow that. So now I'm gonna airdrop it to my MacBook if it comes up. Right there it is. Okay, there's my notification. So I accept it, save to downloads. My short little 15-second video. I've got a minute of footage, but it is still, I only need about 15 seconds, so I'm going to put it in there. Then I'm going to start a new project in Premiere, call it, I'm going to call it keyframe exercise. Keyframe exercise. And put my last name on it, like all of my good students remember to do all the time. I'm going to drop it straight into downloads. Okay. That should do it. And there we are. So now I got a new document. Now, the rest of the students that showed up last week got to do this sort of exercise quickly with some stock footage. But now I'm asking you guys to do it for real with some a little bit cooler footage that you might like. Might be a little bit more personal. So the first thing I'm going to do is drag it into any number of places. For this, I'm going to put it in project, and if I do that, then I'm going to have to drag it into my timeline because I want to make sure I get the orientation right because I started out vertical, but then I moved horizontal. So let's move on down the video until we get to the part that I like. Yeah, there it is. So it looks like I'm already going to have to flip it so that it's horizontal. So let's go ahead and do that. And this is kind of a little bit of a sneak peek into what we're going to be working on today. We want to make sure our effect controls are somewhere where we can find them. Where did I just do with them? Effect controls. Oh, there they are. Okay, so they're over here on this monitor. I'm actually working with 2 monitors here today, so I highly recommend you do the same. You can do it with HDMI cord and an old TV if you want. So, but for now, let's rotate this footage 90 degrees. And let's see, where are we? Motion. look at our motion, and one of the reasons I'm doing a video is so you can pause it and review, because I'm going to kind of fly through this stuff. So don't be afraid to pause. And oops, it's upside down. Let's go to minus 90 degrees. Okay, how about that? There we go. So there's our footage. Do we need to shrink it down a little bit? Let's scale it down a little bit so I get it all in there. And it looks like my default frame size is not right, so my format is more vertical, as you can see here, I hope. So I'm going to change this under sequence settings, and I'm going to flop these to 1920 by 1080. That should be close enough for this exercise. And yeah, okay, it's the right ratio now, but I'm just going to have to scale it up a bit. Oops, what did I do here? All right, let's undock that again. Okay, so I'm going to have to scale it up a bit because it's still got some black area around it. There we go. All right, so I'm going to scale this up so that it fills the screen. Okay, and this monitor is like a crappy old monitor. It's way too bright. Oh, I still didn't get it. Filling up the screen, did I? So let's go down to 50. There we go. Now let's fill up the screen. Nope, not opacity scale. There we go. All right, now sometimes see the footage is filling up the screen. Tents back here. Bunch of bamboo. That's fine. That's all I need. This background stuff is not super important. It's just to fill the background literally while you do an exercise for text, which is what we're going to do right now. We're going to do an exercise for text. If I can find my tools. Wait, there they are. They're back here for some crazy reason. And so, like I said, those that were in class already sort of did this exercise. Pick a word that you like just to work with. It can be any word you want to. Keep it, one word is preferable with this. And what I'll tell everybody else also that was in class the other day, last week, was that at this point, please don't forget that you are a graphic designer. So as you can see up here under text, I typed Decembering. Get out of here. You're being loud. I typed Decembering, and I'm gonna look down here, and these are all tools that are very similar to Adobe Illustrator. But I don't want Lucidagrand. I want something a little bit more interesting than Lucidagrand. And in this case, I kind of want it to be bold, so I'm going to say Comet Bold, and that's a little bit better. I'm going to get a true, nice white font here. I also want it to be bigger. About like that. I also want it to be centered because I'm just working with basic video stuff here. I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. I am going to tighten up the kerning a little bit because I didn't forget that I'm a graphic designer. So I want it to look good. Maybe that's not quite the color for this, although I'm going to look at it under my other monitor. Yeah, I can't get that text very white, can I? And let's see what I don't know what's going on there. should be white. It's just my monitor, I guess. So for teaching you, I'll just change it to red. It's gonna look great. Why is everything so dull looking? All right, I'm gonna change it to this color so you can see it. And maybe I'll go even a little bolder, like a heavy. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. So what I'm gonna do right now is that's it. Everything looks pretty good. That's kind of where I want my composition to end up. So the next thing I want to do is kind of figure out which footage I'm going to use for this, and I know I don't want the audio, so I'm going to go ahead and mute that. And I'm just going to pan. No, actually, let's just go ahead and remember right click or option click and unlink and delete audio. I don't need it. So let's see. Starts. I already clipped it down a little bit. I want it to be moving at all times, so I think I'm actually going to start when it starts over at the other side there. It's going nice and slow. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to watch it right here is about where it starts back. Okay, so I'm going to clip that. I'm going to bring it to the beginning of my video, and then I'm going to watch that and take it as far as I want to take it, which is probably about when we get to the tree. So let's see. There's a bamboo. There's the cool tree. And the tree autofocuses. I don't want to show me reversing direction. You do whatever you want to do. It's your video. But I'm going to stop it, and I'm going to turn off these snap to timeline that gets on my nerves so much because I can't really do what I want to do exactly. So yeah, it's a pretty good place. All right, so I got, 20 seconds there. I don't really need that much, but that's good enough. Now, where's my word? It's way down here. So I'm going to bring my word, and I'm going to make sure that it also goes the length of the video so that I've got this going on now. Okay. It's kind of cool by itself, but we're going to have some fun with the word now. So now we're set up and ready to do things with effect controls, which is mainly where you're going to be right now. So you've chosen your font, you've chosen your color, preferably most video, just for the sake of starting out, I would use white. For some reason my white looks really dull. Everything is kind of blown out on this monitor, so I'm just going to make it orange. So for right now, I got my kerning okay. I'm going to close this so I don't get mixed up, but I always am going to make sure that I'm working under the text. And because you can get mixed up and accidentally be working under your image 1085. So your videos. So you don't want to do that. You want to work under your text in effect controls. So let's start. First of all, let's make a grand entrance. Let's first of all zoom out a little bit and bring this word completely off screen. And then we're going to move it on screen. So let's look down at what we got. Yeah, we want to stay away from this section right now. We've already done everything we're going to do down here. So let's stay away from video. Make sure you're under text at all times. So for now, we're working under position and keyframes. So I know some of you played around a little bit with keyframes before. So let's take it back to the beginning of the video. And right now, this is our starting point. So we want to hit a position right there to tell our effect controls. That's where we want the word to start. Then we're going to move down a little bit so that we can make the word make a grand entrance. So you're simply going to move your Y position all the way over to this roughly the center of your frame and stop. So as you can see here, you've got two keyframes. These are called keyframes. Blow this up a little bit. These little diamond shapes are called keyframes. So we have, let's see how this moves. So that's a pretty good pace for entering. Okay, good. So that's simple position movement. Now what we're going to do is we're going to rotate. And this is just an exercise to teach you about keyframes. Hopefully in your graphic design career, you won't be doing a lot of rotating of text because it's going to look kind of silly. But for these purposes, we're gonna make you do it and look silly. So right here, your keyframes. After it's done entering, then we want to make it rotate. And I'm just gonna say, let's rotate this. First of all, our starting position of rotation is 0. So let's mark a keyframe right there. You can see our new keyframe right there. And then we're gonna move down our timeline a little bit. And we're gonna say 360. That's gonna flop it all the way around. Did that work? Wait, what happened? Rotation. Did I not get 360 in there? Huh. That was weird. I guess I did. I don't know what that means, but yeah. So it rotated 360. All right, so we've got an entrance, and then shortly after we've got a rotation. Okay, so since as you can see, when mine rotates, I mean, maybe you want this, but I don't. You can see, okay, so this over here is called an anchor point. And that's where it basically where it rotates from. Imagine if it was stuck with a pin down to a table and you rotated the word, and that's how it would rotate. The pin would be in the corner of the word here. I don't want that. I kind of want it to be in the center. So first thing I'm going to do is go back and eat my words and turn back on snap to timeline, because in this case it's going to help us. So I want everybody to go down here and look under video, rotation anchor point, because this is important and it's weird. So I want to make sure if you select the anchor point, and like your anchor point might be up here or something, click this right down here so that it sort of recenters itself just for this exercise. You can play around with anchor point. You can move it wherever you want. What it determines is how we're going to do this rotation. See, it determines, like if I put it way over here, it's going to rotate from the edge of that D as an anchor point. And see, we don't really want that. So I'm going to put it, where'd it go? I'm going to put it back in the center, kinda. Back in the center here. And that's where I want it to rotate from. So that'll go more like, all right. Come on. Okay, it's up here. Yeah, all right. I'm going to put it down in the center here so that when we do a rotation, it rotates like that rather than all that other craziness that we were experiencing. So Now that we've got that established, let's go back and watch our entrance again. And okay, there it is. So let's start a rotation. I think I'm doing this right. We're going to rotate. We're going to start a rotation there. And then we're going to move our timeline down a little bit. And we're going to rotate, yeah, our text 360. Right there. And that way you have a cute little bloop like that. And like I said, hopefully you'll never actually do that in the real world. So now I want to do the same idea with scale. Okay. I think this is going to work right. To hit our keyframe for our starting point to scale. There's our keyframe, and then we're going to move down the timeline a little bit. And then we're going to scale this bad boy. I'm just going to start punching numbers in there, see what happens. 2,000 is not enough. 3,000. How's that? Still not enough. 5, 1, 2, 3. See if that'll do it. It's close. We're getting there. See if we can go to 10. There we go. All right. So I wanted to cover the. Hopefully you will use this effect. It's kind of a cool little effect you can do to transition to another color background or whatever. So we've got that all taken care of. I want that to happen a little faster, so I'm gonna rotate and then bam, there we go. So we've done all that, and that's all good. And now I think I want to teach you about opacity. So let's see, let's type another word in here, and let's see if I can find my tools. Let's get out of there. Where are my tools, man? Where are my tools, man? There they are. Okay, they're in the other monitor. You can't see it, but I'm gonna select my text tool. It's right here, and these tools right here. Selected my text tool, and I'm going to type another word. I think. Well, maybe not. How am I doing this? What's wrong? All right, I want to type some text. Can I do that? There we go. All right. So, January, making up funny words here just for fun. Decembering, January. Now I obviously need to change the color of this text. There we go. To not orange. Let's change it to black. All right. Okay, and let's change the font to something a little less bold, and I'm thinking maybe like a script, or it doesn't really matter, but let's see what there we go. That'll work for now. And let's put it just again, let's use our graphic design skills, center it up there. That's pretty good size, pretty nice and fun looking. Okay, all right, so now let's go back to opacity. So where do I want this to begin? I want it to begin at 0, and then move on down the timeline a little bit. And I'm gonna, oh, I didn't create a keyframe, did I? Oh, all right. Let's go back, start at the beginning again. Create a keyframe at 0, so it's invisible. And I want it to appear over a little bit of time. So I bring that opacity, I move my timeline down a little bit, and then I move my opacity up a little bit. And there we go. And so you get this nice little thing. I want that to go a little slower. Okay, that's kind of nice. Where did that text appear? Why is it not in my timeline? Oh, there it is. It's up there. So I don't really want this to happen until after everything else goes orange. So let's see how this looks. I might have to adjust some things. Rotation, scale, and then there's Januarily. Okay, well that's actually kind of nice. There we go. And we can make this text go there. Okay. Let's watch it again. Okay. And that's probably long enough for everything, right? We've looked at it long enough. We don't need any more things going on. So I'm going to drag it all back to make the video shorter. We got that coming in. We got that rotating. We got scaling, and then that fading in from opacity. Okay, so I want you to create something similar to this. I'm actually going to go back a little bit. I'm going to show you how to smooth out some of these movements here. So if you can go back to your effect controls, and let's hide all this stuff because we don't need this anymore. So your effect controls, and you see January coming or Decembering coming in, and make sure I have that. Yeah, okay. And okay. Oh, right. It's not just a transform, it's positioning. So I want that to sort of land a little bit smoother. So, and there's a real quick and easy way to do that. If you're in position and you want it to sort of land a little smoother, you can right click and go to temporal interpolation and say ease in. And you see right here it creates this nice little arc. Now, you could leave that as is. It's still a nice little sort of smoother landing before the rotation. What I like to do actually is I like to make a little mountaintop out of that arc, because that really kind of brings it in a little faster, and then it slows down, and then it smooths to a landing like that. Yeah, and you'll use that a lot. That's a quick and easy effect to make text, not just look like a PowerPoint video. So we're going to do the same thing with the rotation. So let's go down to our rotation keyframes, and I'm gonna, on the first one, on the second one, let's see, on the second one I'm gonna say ease in, and I'm gonna see how that looks. So let's see, rotation, yeah, it kind of brings it down a little bit, but I'm gonna make, let's do this one. Sometimes I'm guessing at what I'm doing here, so I'm gonna make a little mountain. There we go, that's what I want. And kind of like that. Maybe I could affect this one a little bit. So let's see what happens there. Let's see if we do that. So play around with these curves. Don't get too crazy. Now that's insane. I don't want that. So let's leave it at where we had it. So that's a nice little cool rotation effect. And then I'm going to move the scale out a little bit, and this is our scaling keyframes. I'm going to say both of them, give them both a little default ease out and ease in. So it'll ease it out of the scale, and it didn't really do anything because it was so fast. But anyway, you get the idea. You can play around with these things. And then that was a little quick for, let's see how this looks. Yeah, okay. So we want to change, I don't know if I like the orange and black. So we can always go back up to our original text and see where, yeah, source text. What color I want to make this. Maybe a blue. That's kind of cool. How's that look against the background? No, it's not going to let me preview it, is it? Let's see how that looks with the normal text against the background. Yeah, it's not very good, is it? Let's keep going and see if we can come up with a better color. Let's go a little darker. Darker blue, maybe. I don't know. Maybe something like that. Let's see how that looks. I don't know. Like I said, my monitors are pretty not very good here, so let's see. Yeah, okay, that fits the mood, I think. Yeah, and then we go into January. Yeah, okay. So in that case, let's go to January, and let's make that white. That'd be nice, won't it? Yeah, there we go. All right, now. Yeah. All right, so feel free to go back and pause any of these things that I did and review what I did. You make a similar video. Go out there and record something outside or even in your house and have it moving in the background. It's not very important what it is. Just do something that's sort of pleasing looking and the lighting looks decent and, you know, you can and then just make up a word and play around with it and make it move in, make it rotate, and then make it scale really big and cover everything, and then bring another word in using opacity. That's all I'm asking. All right.